Markets clock gains for the fifth straight day, marking its longest winning streak in 2 months. The Nifty ends above 25,000 for the first time since July. IT, Realty, FMCG leads the charge.
Shares of Nazara Tech and Delta Corp traded lower after online gaming bill 2025 was tabled at the Lok Sabha. The bill calls for a ban on all online money gaming and bars any advertisement. Centre claims that the bill is a societal decision and is acted based on the feedback received.
After Jio moves its 1 GB plan off the online platform, Bharti Airtel follows by scrapping its 1 GB entry plan. The initiative highlights increasing data usage and raises the potential for ARPU improvement going forward.
Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all the key data points to gear up for the next trading day. I'm Vinny Motiwala, with me is Rima as well. Rima, an interesting day. Finally, we managed to close about the 25,000 mark, right? So
yeah, convincingly. So up close to about 0.25% on the Nifty and the sensex. And so far this week, in the first 3 days, we're up close to about 1.7% on the Nifty. The mid-cap index has moved up close to about 2.5%. And leadership came in from IT. The Nifty IT index was the top gainer. But you also had strength in consumption. So names like an HUL, a Nestle, they've rallied 8-9% so far this week. So this clear GST rationalization where consumption is likely to get a leg up, maybe some margin boost. There is that buying emerging in consumption as well. On the way down, lots of other big stories like Nazara Tech. We'll discuss that in greater detail. But all in all, not bad. Nifty Bank, though, was a bit of a drag, ending down with a cut of about 160 points.
And that too, Nifty Bank actually snapped its 4-day gaining streak as well. So that is where I think a bit of that red that we saw on the screen today. But apart from that, mid and small cap also managed to see some bit of that gain that we saw. So in line with the benchmark indices, no complaining in terms of the advanced decline ratio as well. But we have a very exciting lineup for you all on the show, and what we have in store for you all. We'll start with the top movers and shakers of the day with Hormas Fatakia and move on and talk about individual stocks, starting with Nazara Tech that slipped in trade following centers introducing the online gaming bill. While we also had Vedanta that witnessed a decline, and this came in after NCLT deferred the company's demerger hearing. On the other hand, Ola Electric surged nearly 30% in today's trade. But last but not the least, we'll also delve into the key market events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session.
Okay, let's get to the first element on the show then. Hormus is at the big wall with the top movers and shakers.
5 days of gains, and a common thread among these sessions have been the fact that there have been pockets that have been dominant all through the trading session. And today, of course, the day belonged to the IT names, be it large cap IT, mid cap IT. Gains were seen across the board, led by Infosys with a 4% surge. Look at Coforge, Emphasis, TCS and Intellect Design ending with a 9% pop in today's session. The other sector that outperformed today was FMCG. That continued to move higher with Imami, Britannia, Colgate, HUL, all of them seeing gains of anywhere between 2 to 4% in today's session. So proxy for consumption, well, hotel names were also buzzing in today's session, be it Chalet Hotels, Lemon Tree, Indian Hotels, Taj GVK and even EIH Associated ending with a 6% gain in today's session. There are a lot of these stocks that had double-digit moves in today's session, and look at Ola Electric, of course, can't not talk about it. Over 100 crore shares were traded in today's session. Carborundum was another mover today on the upside, 14% higher. Dynamic Cables and Echo Lighting, a 20% circuit for both of them. And Godfrey Phillips, after this recent sell-off over the last couple of sessions, was back in the gains, the 13% surge. The stocks that bucked the trend, though, today, Nazara was the leader of that pack, ending 13% higher. Aurobindo also clarifying on the acquisition, but the street continued to beat the stock down, 3.5% lower here. Uflex and Sterlite Tech seeing a 6% cut today, and Hyundai seeing some profit booking after a 4-day advance. Back to you guys.
Okay, Hormas, thank you so much for that. So keeping an eye out on the top movers in today's trading session. But let's bring on board our experts for today. We have Mayuresh Joshi, Director of Research at Mark Smith India, and Shrikant Chauhan, EVP at Kotak Securities. Mayuresh as well as Shrikant, thanks for joining us on the show. Shrikant, finally 25,000, we've closed above that mark. But again, tomorrow, will we see some bit of that profit taken? Because 25,000 is not something that we've seen sustaining in the last few months.
Yeah, absolutely. The market is like highly cautious, even though And despite the market has crossed the level of 25,000 under the leadership of tech companies, we saw very cautious sort of activity in the market. Broadly, I am of the view that the market is like going to consolidate for some more time. But one thing is very clear that the supports have shifted from 24,500 to 24,800, and now the next level to watch out for would be 25,500. So it will take some time. We need some support from bank stocks because there we are seeing complete lagging sort of activity. But this particular strength in IT companies may provide some more relief in the near term. I am of the view that we should look for adding those stocks where there is value, and the similar sort of trend we are going to witness for next couple of days.
Okay, let's also get in Mayuresh. Mayuresh, give us open-ended question, but give us one idea, one investment theme that looks attractive to you at this juncture.
So, Reema, I think we've been speaking at nausea about autos, but auto ancillaries selectively can also do well. And therefore, on our watch list, we've got a stock called Uno Minda. My own sense is that the kind of business that Uno Minda is into, switches, seats, acoustics, and the kind of domestic share that Uno Minda has at 89%, I think that's significant because the export share is relatively lesser, which makes it a little bit more immune in terms of tariff and tariff tantrums per se. At the same time, I think from a balance sheet perspective, the debt equity is around 0.34 times, which is very, very healthy. And the expectations with input costs expected to trend lower it makes us believe that EBITDA margins should start trending higher with better leverage at play across their product mix. Across their 70 plants, I think a large part of those plants are very well located and situated near OEMs, which is also a major component in terms of their revenue pie. And therefore, I think as the mix improves, specifically in terms of OEM and the replacement market, along with the product mix, and the entire content per vehicle, which is expected to move from 12,000 for an ICE to almost 36,000, and the platforms that they've probably got, which is largely attuned to electric powertrains or otherwise, which are largely agnostic in terms of adaptability. I think the kind of revenues that they can post can be fabulous. I think from a ratings, rankings perspective, institution holding, whatever you see in Cancelim, this probably looks like a very, very good bet. This is something that we've got on the watch list.
Point taken there, Mayuresh. But let's move on and talk about Nazara Tech as well as Delta Corp. Now, these online gaming players or, the gaming side was something that was a bit in focus. And why? Because what we saw coming in is that the cabinet had cleared the gaming bill that calls for a ban coming in on online money gaming. Now, this is something that spooked the shares, especially of Nazara Technologies. Why is Nazara Technologies so spooked by this? Now, they have an investment of around 800 crores in Moonshine Technologies, which is pokerbazi, and that is a 46% stake that they have in terms of equity. Other than that, there were CCPs as well, which are going to be convertible in the next 2 to 3 years, but that is of around 200 crores as well. Now, the current risk that comes in is of this 800 crore investment that they have, because as of now, 46% stake means this is an associate company of Nazara Tech and not a subsidiary. So it is not included in the part of the revenue of Nazara Technologies, so no impact will come on revenue for Nazara Tech. But if there's an investment write-off and if this ban actually goes through, where does this pokerbazi business actually go? And what will this write-off mean for the company on the balance sheet front becomes a big concern. And that is why that was a risk even the management themselves sounded off, and that's a big concern coming in, and that's why Nazara Technology was down. On the other hand, Delta Corp, they also had investments in online gaming, but they divested that in 2024, 2025, and they sold that 51% stake. Now they only hold 5% stake in that online gaming, money gaming side of the business. So not much of a concern coming in for them. They only hold 5% stake. So that's why Nazara Technologies was clearly the one that was under pressure, given that there could be a risk in terms of writing off of that investment. But let's also listen into what the management had to say on this front.
There was no contribution, absolutely no contribution of real money gaming revenues in this financial performance. What that really means is that even going forward, since we are not having any contribution by real money gaming in our financial numbers that we report, there is no disturbance or issues with what we will report going forward. And the company continues to grow strongly, profitably. Now, we do have an investment in Moonshine Technologies, which runs pokerbazi. We own 46% in the company. And It's speculative now because we don't know what is the content of the bill. But if there is a move, as media has reported, to ban uh, online money, real money gaming, then of course that particular investment could potentially be at risk. If you see our recent acquisitions that we've done in the last year or so have all been focused on the core gaming IP business, which is a very profitable, very cash flow generative business. We generate through games that are popular all over the world. And that's already something we've been very focused on. In recent commentary, also, we've said we're doubling down our focus on core gaming IP. So I think we already have, a very strong pathway for growth. We're already delivering it. As you saw this quarter, we delivered 100% year-on-year growth. And I don't think our strategy changes at all at this point of time.
Also pertinent to listen into the views of S. Krishnan, Secretary of Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, METI. We had him on our channel earlier and he defended the gaming bill. He said it's not fair to look at the bill only as a prohibition effort. The government acted based on the feedback it received. Listen in.
The jurisdiction of the bill actually, in a sense, has an extraterritorial jurisdiction. It applies to entities outside the country who are offering it in India. That is there right in Section 1 of the bill itself. Section 69A of the Information Technology Act 2000 can be used to block online money gaming, which comes whether it is within the country or from overseas. We will have to keep monitoring when these games come up, and we have the capability to do that. And as and when it comes up, we'll have to keep consistently blocking new sites which come up, new portals which come up, new ways in which it gets offered. Now, that is an implementation challenge. And that is what the civil service and the entire machinery of government is there for. We have to implement the law which the parliament would enact. The number of jobs created are in their thousands, and the number of livelihoods affected are in their hundreds of millions. The industry itself claims that 450 million people play these games, many of whom are distressed. And I think parliamentarians, ministers, and others who understand the distress of their constituents are very forthright in saying that this is a serious issue. So we have to balance. We have to balance between what is in the overall social good, and many of these people have talent and will find jobs in the legitimate gaming sector, which is being encouraged.
Okay. Shrikant, quick word on the charts of Nazara Tech. Do you see more downside?
Both the stock, there is complete mismatch. I mean to say Nazara is showing weakness. Today's sell-off is indicating us that the stock has formed lower top as compared to its previous top. And now the stock is heading for its next support, where it has the support is having between the range of 1,950. So I think the stock can fall towards 1,000 sort of levels. But for Delta, it is showing some altogether different sort of technical pattern. It is showing that in the near term, we can see the levels of maybe 120, 125. But one thing is very clear, that we need to be careful in Nazara Technology, at least for the time being.
Okay, we'll have to be a bit careful on Nazara Technologies on the for a bit from now on. So keep an eye out on regulations that come in. But let's talk about Ola Electric, right? Because that rallied in trade today, 19% almost uptick that we saw coming in today itself. Almost a 30% uptick this week is what we're watching out for from Ola Electric. And the stock saw its highest trading volumes ever yesterday as well. So Darshan is joining in with us to give us details on what's aiding the stock. So Darshan?
So Ola Electric continues to see buying. Even in today's trade, stock was up 19%, and this week it's up almost 35%. And if you talk about today's trading volumes, it's the highest ever the stock has seen, and it was more than 100 crores. And if you compare against 20-day average, it's almost 10 times. And also volumes were aided by large block deals that we have seen of more than rupees 3% equity worth rupees 830 crore. Now, apart from these trading volumes, if you see it, I've tried to look at the shareholding if there is any change. So since December of 2024, FI's holding has come down while domestic holding has seen a sharp rise. So FI's holding in December 2024 was at nearly 39%, which has come down to less than 35%, while domestic holding has increased from 19% to more than 23%. Now, what are the major tailwinds for the company going forward? So first, a company has recently announced Q1 earnings. Earnings had improved on a sequential basis, and company did make a comment about auto business turning EBITDA positive in Q1, and in FY26 auto business company is expecting to be 5% or more than that. Now, apart from that, yesterday basically China has announced lifting the curb on rare earth magnet supply, and that also would be positive for Ola Electric. Also, festive season is coming and companies announcing few launches, but the biggest product that company is bullish on its roadster bike. So we'll have to see how the next few days pans out for Ola Electric. But as of now, we are seeing a very healthy volume in the stock.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Darshan. But let's also go to Upasana and understand why these food delivery stocks were in focus, right? Eternal, Swiggy, a note that came in from DAM Capital. What was his highlighting and what is the clear mention in that is what Upasana will talk to us about. Upasana.
Well, DAM Capital has initiated a note on food delivery companies. It has initiated a buy rating on Eternal with a target price of 400 and Swiggy with a target price of 515. Hence, both these counters saw a positive move today. Now, the note says that both the companies have now in a matured phase and they expect margin expansion and strong FCF growth over the next 3 years for these two companies, mainly driven by lower capex and improving working capital efficiency. Now, coming to their quick commerce businesses, it believes that Zomato's quick commerce business is likely to reach EBITDA profitability by Q4 FY26 and Swiggy by Q4 FY28. It also forecasts a revenue growth of 42% for Eternal and 28% for Swiggy over FY25 to FY28. It believes that the Zomato is already PAT profitable, while Swiggy will reach its profitability by FY28. Hence, both these counters remained in focus today on the back of this note.
Thank you. And the other big story is Vedanta. Shares declined in trade after the NCLT deferred the hearing on the company's demerger, flagging serious objections. However, Vedanta has responded to this, saying that SEBI hasn't opposed the demerger and their counsel could not conclude the arguments today. Ashmit joins in with the details.
Well, Vedanta demerger facing twin hurdles at the NCLT in the form of the government as well as the market regulator, SEBI. Now, let's bear in mind, the NCLT was hearing an application filed by Vedanta for its demerger, seeking a sanction, seeking a legal sanction. But there were two hurdles. Number one, the government, the MOPNG, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, coming on board to say that it has strong objections, saying that this demerger should not be allowed. It has strong objections. The government submitted that it finds itself in a position where it will be unable to recover the dues coming to it, going on to say that there has been lack of disclosure by Vedanta, there's been concealment of some important details by Vedanta, that in some cases the revenue has been overstated, liabilities have been understated, and all of this has led to a situation where the government is front and center opposing Vedanta's demerger application. That was, however, only one part of the story. The other part is with respect to SEBI. Now, even the government, as a part of its submissions, had clarified that Vedanta had tweaked, had modified its demerger scheme after getting the nod from the exchanges as SEBI. That is something that was also seconded by the market regulator. SEBI was present in NCLT. They submitted that there indeed has been a modification. This is a gross violation, a serious breach of its master circular, and that it has issued an administrative warning to Vedanta. This warning needs to be tabled before the board of directors of Vedanta for their consideration. So clearly, twin hurdles here. One SEBI, two the center. The next hearing is on September 17th.
Okay. Mayuresh, your thoughts coming in on, when you look at Vedanta, this concern and this delay that comes in of the demerger, how should one actually watch out for Vedanta now?
So, Vinny, I think it should be a wait and watch mode, because I think let the hearing probably come through and then we'll get a clearer picture. Obviously, I think from a core earnings perspective, I think the core metals pack itself, whether it's silver has been doing pretty well, so there is no two ways about it. But I think the other commodities that Vedanta probably has, I think the pricing itself remains a little circumspect, and how demand will come back, specifically globally, which will then influence LME prices, which will largely then determine how the overall growth dynamics on the balance sheet will appear. So let's wait out for the hearing. I think there's no harm in waiting for that as we speak.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in. Get into a break on the other side. Top corporate voices and the big events to watch out for. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's take stock of the key corporate voices of the day. So first up, despite global geopolitical headwinds, India's hospitality industry continues to deliver. That's the word coming in from the management of Chalet Hotels. In a conversation with CNBC-TV18, the management said the company expects the growth momentum to remain healthy in Q2, with the upcoming festive season likely to drive further improvement. Average daily rates are projected to strengthen in the second half of FY26, margins likely to remain stable in the mid-40% range.
We also spoke to the management of Galaxy Surfactants, K. Natarajan, who said that he is seeing early signs of recovery in the Indian market and expects demand to strengthen in the second half of the year. He added that the GST rationalization would further boost consumption, while business in North America remained challenging due to tariff uncertainty and sluggish customer orders. Europe and Latin America did well. Natarajan also said that the company is hopeful of achieving around 6% volume growth in India, where business is currently growing at 3 to 4%.
And before we wrap, we'll get you some of the key market events to watch out for tomorrow. Upasana joins in.
First up, let us start with the global economic news. Countries like US will be reporting with the Jackson Hole Symposium, one of the most important, from 21st to 23rd of August. US will be also reporting its initial jobless claims and also existing home sales data. Now, UK and Europe will be also reporting its PMI data tomorrow. And back home, that is in India, S&P Global Manufacturing PMI data will be out. Now, let us look at the key stocks that will be in focus tomorrow. Vedanta board to consider second interim dividend on 21st of August. GMR Airport will also be in focus on the back of fundraising plans. And lastly, counters like Coal India, HAL, RVNL, all these counters go ex-dividend. Now, coming to the other corporate affairs, Minister of External Affairs to hold talks with Russian foreign ministers in Moscow tomorrow. So that is one of the key important events that we'll be closely tracking as well. Now, GST Council nominated group of ministers on rate rationalization, which is likely to meet tomorrow. And mind you that the monsoon session of Parliament is likely to end tomorrow as well. Now, coming to various IPOs such as Vikram Solar, GEM Aromatics, Patel Retail, Shriji Shipping Global, all these IPO closes for subscription tomorrow. So all in all, looks like quite a power-packed day.
Okay, Upasana, thanks so much for that. But with that, we'll wrap this edition